left and right on this seems to work well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was interesting. So today I've got a Intellivision. Bought this a few years back. Originally I just bought it for the controllers. I've got a Sears Intellivision, which actually has plug-in controllers rather than these ones which are actually attached to the printed circuit board. But again, I thought I can adapt them. However, when I looked at it, as you can see, it looks like it's got all the parts for it. There's the controllers. Got this board. So I've never opened this up. Right now, that's the controllers, a power board. I believe for the UK version, it is slightly different to the US version, which I didn't realise until I got into it. There's the power supply, the transformer for it. And this board, I believe, is for video control. The thing that surprised me is when I turned it here, as you can see, I seem to already have a connection for power. So I was thinking, what is actually inside this unit then? If I've got all the boards outside, what have I got inside? Take the back off, see, again very simple, 6 screws, all the same length. Thing to be careful of as well when you're taking this apart, that little power button in the bottom right hand corner, the on off switch, has a tendency to fly out. Now I'm confused. They seem to have all the boards that are outside inside already, but the first thing I can notice is in the top left hand corner, that power connector isn't touching all the modules. So I'm wondering if somebody had a go at repairing this, just not connected it properly and then just given it up as a bad job. And are these boards that I've got here, are these the original ones that were taken out and replaced, or are these the replacements for the boards that are already in here? Again, when I looked online, one thing I noticed was the US version of the Intellivision is laid out slightly differently, in that the board below there has a shielding on it, and this board doesn't have any shielding on it. Plus also that board in the top right hand corner doesn't exist on the American version. So again, I'm not sure whether someone had already removed the shielding, if it comes like this as standard. Also I've got this random piece of black tape just wanging about on the back there. Not quite sure what that's about. Again, I wondered whether someone's just laid it down there. There's the main board itself with all the various chips, and as you can see, they've kind of hot glued the heat sinks to the top of it, which again I wondered whether it was a modification done by whoever's opened this up just to kind of make sure it wasn't getting too hot. Right now I'm just removing all the boards, just seeing kind of general condition of them, and they all look kind of fairly decent. This is just a little pull out connector here, so it's easy to separate the two boards. yeah, you've just got, and again, that little single red wire, that one doesn't exist on the American version. There's more wires go across. Here's the transformer itself. And as you can see, it's a multi-tap transformer, so it comes in 230 volts AC, then gets split. One side goes to this power switch, and then the other side just goes to that connector, which then connects to the power board to obviously convert it from AC to DC and the various voltages that the Intellivision needs to run. So again, as I'm removing this, I'm just checking everything, make sure I'm not seeing any breaks in the cables, any crimps or just exposed wiring, and yeah, so far it all looks pretty good. Yeah, so this is where on these ones the controllers themselves plug in. Again, not sure which way they go around because obviously they were unplugged when I've opened it. So I've done one way with the pins showing facing up and one with the pins facing down. The one at the top is actually the correct way around, it should be. Little ribbon cable here. Again, I know on the Spectrums and stuff like that, again, it's more for the keyboard membrane, but just looking at it to make sure it looked like it was solid, there were no breaks in it, because again, it's a very fragile little cable. And considering the age of this equipment, chances are it would be in not very good condition, but it does seem to be okay right now. So I just want to move all this lot out of the way. Luckily, recently I did purchase another Intellivision, and this was one to actually use, but I thought it would be a good idea to have a look in this one just to see what the differences are, because again, I couldn't find many references to it. A lot of them, when they're opened, it's the US version, so this is another UK version. Just wanted to see if this one's got the shielding in it and what's different between the two. Feed the controllers through, and it looks the same. So this one hasn't been opened before, and as you can see, there is definitely no shielding on that main board, so it must just be something. Again, I wonder whether it was like a US shielding requirement, which is odd because again in the UK we had quite a bit of that as well, so I'm surprised that this one doesn't have any shielding around the board while they have made them different. As you see in the top left hand corner, the plug from the transformer is on all the pins there, so I know it shouldn't be off hanging like that, which I kind of thought anyway. Also, the other thing, standoffs, these standoffs here, that's missing on the other board, so chances are if I'd have turned that on, it would have just caused a dead short, which again I'm wondering, has someone else turned that on already and caused that to happen, but I can't see any arcing or anything, so I'm assuming not. I'm assuming they might have got lucky with it where they haven't plugged that power in correctly. Maybe they've got away with it. And again, hot glue holding the heat sinks on, so it must have come from the factory like this, which is surprising because again, I just always assumed the hot glue thing was a more of a modern way of doing electrical work. I'm surprised that back in the early 80s, this was, well, late 70s, early 80s, that was a technique used rather than doing something a bit more belts and braces, you know, kind of, you know, double screwing it down or doing something a bit more advanced. So first thing I want to do is make a couple of little standoffs for the other board. So I've just got an old pen here and my my wannabe Dremel tool, but again you can just use a little junior hacksaw. So all I'm doing now, I just cut the thread off. Now I'm just measuring it up against the other standoffs. Don't want to make it too high, don't want to make it too low, so I've got my little standoffs now, just need to clean them up a little bit. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just try it with all the original board in there and just see what I'm getting with it. Just see if it is going to work, if it's going to turn on, what's happening with it. Again, I could have used a Stanley knife for this, but the cutters were close to hand, they did the job pretty well. Just need to give it a little bit of a clean out here because, again, just years and years of dust have obviously got into it. So first things first, put the transformer in. Just has that little clamp over the top to hold the power connector one. Just to be aware, these screws are a slightly different length to the rest of them and a different size. So just screwing the transformer down. Yeah, as I say, the American one has a lead coming out the back, whereas the UK one just has that kind of figure of 8 connector. We normally call it like a cassette connector here. I can't remember what the official name for it is. But yeah, a lot of the cassette tapes back in the day cassette players used to have that connector. Again, just putting this underneath. You can see it's just multiple layers of just card really. Just again to act as an insulator. And I imagine that is just to prevent, without them, just in case the 230 volt power cables came up, potentially they could hit something and cause a short. Just plug the power back in. Now plugging the power back in the correct way. So as you can see there, it's the yellow cable nearest to the side of the case. Yeah, this little thing here is just a dust magnet. It just collects so much dust. So I needed a little clean out. And this is just the tray that sits underneath the controllers. There's my standoffs. So if I put the board on, just put the screws, and I just want to make sure I haven't missed them standoffs. So I'm just going to check it, just tighten it down a bit. check underneath. Make sure the screws are actually going through the standoffs. Yep, got that one. Oh, shaky hands. Yep, got that one. So now, again, I should have plugged these controllers in when I had the board out, but you can do it with the board in. So that's one controller in. And again, it just goes into this little notch here to stop it. Again, just a strain relief on the cable, just so you can't pull it too hard and yank it out of the board itself. And there, just to show you the orientation a bit closer. So that's the way it goes in. So you can see the way around it is there. The underside pins are sort of, you can see the exposed cables there. So again, just have to reroute this cable for this controller. It goes under that switch. So I just had to take that off and feed it underneath. Again, looking at the original console, you can see exactly which way they'd routed these cables. This one, a little bit odd, they've sort of like routed it around the power board. Okay, just give the front a little bit of a clean up. And overall, it's not in bad condition either. So if you look in the top right there, I've already put that power switch on, but you'll see in a second I need to take that back off again because it goes on the top. Like I say, if you are going to do this, probably the first thing you want to remove, because as soon as you take that off, I didn't realise that I found it on the floor when I took it off initially, because I didn't realise, I thought it was like the reset button. The reset button's got a little catch on the back of it, so it stays in place. That one doesn't. So it looks like we're pretty much ready to go. Put some power on it and see what we've got. Let's put the screws back in. Them other screws are from my other Intellivision. I'll put that back shortly. Just getting these 6 kind of long big screws in there, and they're the same screws that hold down that middle section as well, same size. Passed the first test, it didn't go bang. Blank screen. Okay. That's a dirty cartridge port. Oh. Right, let's try boxing. These men. Alright, pressing 1. Let's try 1. So one controller's not working. This controller is working by the looks of it. Okay. to work well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was interesting. Okay. That was interesting. Okay. What happened there? Something got excited. So originally I was going to take it all apart, see what happened, but then I thought, this is using an analog signal, let me just try and retune, and sure enough, that's all it was. Where it was tuned into my previous Intellivision, I think the signal wasn't quite right, and I think that's what caused that issue. Have a look. So this one works up and down, but left and right don't work. So now left and right. Right sort of works, up and down definitely works. Whereas this one, left works, right works, but down doesn't work. So I've assessed now that obviously these controllers aren't working correctly, so I thought I'd take them apart to see if I can clean up the contacts. So if I take this apart, as you can see, the way these controllers are designed are fully, I mean, clever, but at the same time, I've never seen a controller put together like this, and I've taken apart a few controllers in my time, but the fact it's basically a membrane. It's a mylar membrane that they use, and the kind of thing you would find, I say you find it in a TV remote control, but I think even TV remote controls are put together better than this. It's yeah, it literally is just plastic with a printed circuit board put on it. As you say, once I get it apart, I'll show you. It is just one piece of mylar that's yeah, just folds over onto itself to make a connection. Just get these side buttons out. First part you got there is just literally a piece of plastic with the numbers on it, when there's just the little raised buttons. Another looks like a little piece of, almost like a carrier bag, kind of that level of quality. That particular piece of plastic, and then the idea is that, yeah, just your pressure pushing them two bits together make the connection. At the top you can see there's the connector that goes onto the cable itself, and yeah, if I just unfold this, see how basic this is. Let's do it on here. First thing, just give these contacts a little clean up and just bend them up a little bit to make sure they're making a good connection. And then the mylar itself, I've just got some contact cleaner, just give it a little spray up just to see if that helps it at all. See if it's any dirt or anything, but it is quite good normally at bringing things back to life again. a little spray. And that's more like the way a remote control would work, in that it's actually using rubber. So just put this controller back together again just to see what we've got. Hopefully we've got a working controller now. Again, as I say, a very basic looking controller. It'll be interesting. I've ordered a ColecoVision, which might need some work, so I might take that one apart as well, right, just to see what the difference is.
One is working. After I'm putting to the right. Got more functionality out of it.
So the controller is working better than it was, but it's still not right. The enter key, for example, still not working, and as you can see, sometimes it will want to work, sometimes it doesn't. I found these new Mylar membrane replacements, so I'll do a follow-up video showing me replacing them, and hopefully we can get it all working. It's pretty much working, just needs a little bit of work on them controllers now. Alright, I will see you in the next video. As I say, I just can't wait to receive these now.